Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk here on the I Love CVille Network. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world, on a glorious day to be above the mud. Judah Wickower, Keith Smith on the Tuesday edition of one of our favorite and most fun shows we do on this network. Three dudes shooting the you-know-what, talking real estate, life, and the pursuit of happiness.
Drinking Shenandoah Joe coffee.
Dave Fafaro, we texted this morning. I cannot wait to get you on the show here and with Keith. Your coffee is amazing.
Yeah.
Judah, let's go to the studio camera. Judah, get ready to rock and roll and show that a handsome mug of yours. Good morning, Keith Smith. Que pasa, chico?
My handsome mug or his handsome?
Okay, you're both handsome. Keith needs to hear it. Judah doesn't care about it.
Yeah. So as my wife would say, I was fishing for compliments.
Yes, you are fishing for compliments.
Cheers. Maybe yes,
Cheers,
maybe no yes.
Does Yonna like when you fish for compliments?
Probably not.
Maybe yes.
maybe no
yes.
Totally a new segment. I like it.
God. It's so good.
We had fun
so
with
good.
that.
It's so funny how these come up organically. So, Keith, we had a lot of questions from yesterday.
Yeah, cool.
And some of those questions were a compare and contrast 2019 versus 2021. And this gentleman, and very strategic, very elegant, Judah, if you can go on a one-shot with me.
No, don't do that.
And very...
Don't do
very fantastic and very elegant fashion. Gave me a two-side sheet of paper with some... I could read your handwriting. Yeah. It's very clear.
I think
I'll give you props on that.
all I'm doing is working on a payback for you right now.
Maybe yes.
Maybe no yes.
Okay, where do you want to begin? On 2019.
I'm just drinking awesome Shenandoah Joe
Dave
coffee.
Fafaro, you're the man. He watches the show.
Really? He's a good man.
Dave, you're a good guy. He wants us to mention Toy Lift at Fashion Square Mall.
Sure, love to do it.
Big time event.
Yeah, big time event. It has some connection to the Marine Corps.
Oh.
Right? I'm not sure if this particular version is it, but Toy Lift actually started as a Marine Corps event, for lack of a better term. So, but when is the date on that? Do you know?
I will find out in 10 seconds for you.
It's a pretty neat thing. You know, if you ever seen it, it used to be like Joe would get up in a bucket truck over 29, or I think it was Rio Road or Rio Road, not Rio Road.
Rio Road.
And 29 in a bucket truck. I'm not so sure if they do that any longer, but he used to be up there in his shorts, which he always wears.
December 3rd, my friend.
Yes, that's around the corner.
So December 3rd, I'm looking at the old trusty calendar
So
here.
what's today?
That's Friday.
Oh, cool. Oh, we should have asked Joe to come in today.
Dave Fafaro.
Dave, excuse me.
Yeah.
To come in
Mr.
today.
Shenandoah Joe.
Mr. Shenandoah Joe. Yeah.
Would you get in the bucket truck and go all the way up there on a freezing cold day?
Sure.
Yeah, me too. I'd do it.
Yeah,
you and I would do pretty much just about anything. Don't you think you would? I would for at least once.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yes.
Most you know, let's say a couple of times before it actually kind of sinks in. So look, we ended during the show yesterday with some questions about what the ratio was between list price and sold price.
That's right.
On that end of it. So I took a look in my trusty handwritten. I didn't have a chance to put
it
in a spreadsheet and do all kinds of charts. Ran out of time this morning, but between 9/1/21 and 11/30, so that 3-month block there, in 2021 there was 1,060 homes sold. So it's important to note that this is the car footprint. So this is Charlottesville, Albemarle, Nelson, Green, Louisa. What did I miss? Flavanna, my home county. I didn't break them down to single-family detached and single-family attached. So this is everything that has been sold that's either single-family detached or attached, like duplexes or townhomes. So there's 1,060 sold. The average days on market was 25. Median, so it kicks out the high and the low, was 6. Average list in that time frame was 460. I'm rounding the numbers a little bit. Was 460. So this is what the average home went on the market to list for, was 462, and it sold. The average sold was 460. So we were talking about yesterday about 97%. I was a little off. That's pretty darn close to 100%.
100%. Give them that stat in very clear terms again.
So make a long story short, there was about a $2,000 spread in that time frame between what the list price, in other words, what people put it on the market to list for, which was 462. Now this is average,
Yeah.
right? And then what they sold was 460. The median was a
Good
little.
Lord, did you hear that, everybody? And this was 2020?
So it's 2021.
2021.
So this is the last 3 months.
And the car footprint, the average home sold for $460,000.
So that's attached, detached, new construction. That's everything.
That's everything.
That's just a huge umbrella of what has sold. I haven't
460 is the average.
The median,
okay?
by the way, was a little less. The median, which kicks out your high and your low.
The asking price on average was 462.
271 to be exact.
So we're talking about a difference of
$2,000.
$2,000
Yeah.
between asking price and actual closing price. That shows you what? What does that show you?
It just shows you what the market is strong, right?
Well, and it also shows you that, people are listing homes at fairly accurate prices.
I think what brought up this conversation yesterday was the conversation about sellers selling it on their own.
Yeah.
And this is a real, real estate. If you use a real estate professional or a realtor, this is the numbers. These are real numbers. This is what actually happens. So the for sale by owners are not showing up in here. This is just what real estate agents do. This is in our Paragon. The median was a little less, so that kicks out your high and your low, right? So median list was 375. You want to take a gander at what the median sold was? Don't look at just cheat sheet.
I won't look at it. Tell me.
It kept the same $2,000 spread. It was 373. So what that does is that kicks out the really high numbers, the really low numbers, and just focuses in the middle range. Henceforth, the median.
Okay.
On that end of it.
What is the equation for accurately pricing a home? Good morning, Justine Montgomery.
Hey, Justine.
Daniel Pettit, we'll
They
get
got
to your
snow up.
comments here.
They got snow up there.
There was snow this morning here.
A little bit, yeah. I noticed
Yeah.
it on the roof when I went for a walk. But Justine is up in
Justine,
Vermont.
you got snow in Vermont? I would think you do, right?
I would hope so. This time of the year, they kind of want it.
So give us the formula or the equation to accurately price a home the right way upon listing it. What do you go about doing?
Well, that is so weird. I got asked that same question last night by a client about tell me how the beginning of the conversation would go if I was going to list your house. But I want to kind of finish some numbers year over year before we get into that.
We'll hold that question, Kelsey.
Only because the spread starts to get a little bit wider back in a couple of years from now. So I ran the same dates for 2020. From 9/1/20, to 11/30/20. There was actually more units sold. There was 1,148 units sold. Days on market was average was double, was at 50. The median was also double at 12 days. I can't believe we're saying 12 days is only that. But it was interesting. The average list price was 460, which is pretty close to 2021. The average sold was 452, so it was an $8,000 spread in 2020. The median was a little bit closer. It was a $3,000 spread. The median was 368, 365 with that. But what I want to do is I went back and looked at 18.
Okay.
Because 2020 was kind of
It was an anomaly.
An anomaly. So 2021 we had 1,060 sold. 18 we had 819 sold. That's more than almost 300 unit difference. Days on market was 61 versus 25 on average, 23 versus 6 on median. But I'll just focus on the median for this part. The median list price was 305 versus 375, so we're looking at $75,000 jump from 18 to 2021.
That's substantial.
And
did you hear that?
And the median was 302, which we held that $3,000 spread between that. And it's just a testament that the spread between list and sold is pretty tight. It's usually in the high 90s.
Well, around here.
Well, it's also nationwide if you look at
really?
it. Yeah. And that's because of the trusted advisor you bring to the table. But, thank you. I can't remember who asked. Maybe it was Kelsey that asked that question.
Watching now with questions.
But yesterday. But if there's any more, I've got 2020, 19. If anybody wants more data, I've got it for it.
So Justine Montgomery, yes, we have a couple inches of snow.
Good.
And it's snowing now in Vermont. We love when you watch the program, Justine. You're A+ people.
A+++.
A++. Ooh, you got the A+++, Justine.
Justine knows me almost as well as you do. So
Well, that's
we worked together for a long time.
impressive. Kelsey is asking about the formula for accurately pricing a home.
So there isn't a formula. So that's a. So is this a yes, maybe no yes question? So if you are saying that there is a formula like 2 + 2 = 4, if that's what we're implying here.
Nicholas Erpy, good morning, my
Hey,
friend.
Nicholas, how you doing? That's not exactly how this works, right? So the way this works is really it's not about numbers first. So if I want to sit down with the Millers and find out what exactly. Our first meeting is always about what's your W's questions, the who, what, when, where, how, what you guys want to do, what kind of goals you want to achieve. As far as establishing market value, that's what all this is. That's what this we tear into before I walk and see the Millers. We take a look and find out if your home's been on the market. We go into GIS and take a look at the tax data and all this stuff, which we're going to talk about a little bit later today, please, on that, because I think that's an important information to get out. And then we do a walkthrough through the home and try to see, what upgrades were made. So in essence, we do a CMA, right, which is pretty much, it's not the same as an appraisal. I don't want to really say that. I guess I just did, but
I mean, it's very similar.
It is very similar.
Same KPIs are used pretty much for both.
Same KPI, same stuff. The formulas may be a little bit differently. So I just don't want folks to think that there's A + A, equals C or whatever, that kind of thing. It's very subjective on what's in the home, what's going on around the home. For instance, I just looked at a custom home that was built that they're trying to resell, and frankly, they overbuilt the home for the market for that particular.
Put that in perspective, what that means.
Yeah, so I used to do a lot of it, right? And we would sit down.
Custom home building, not overbuilding homes for the market.
Correct, custom home building. Thank you very much. Look at that, you saved my butt.
I'm trying.
That's
what I'm here for you. That's your Robin.
Saved my butt and made in front of me at the same time. Look at that. So what happens, when I used to counsel people to build custom homes, they would generally say, this is my last home, I'm not going to move, and inevitably they move. I can't tell you how many phone calls we get to relist homes, sell homes for people that we built homes for 20 years ago. But if you went and overbuilt for the market and built a home that was large or put in some sort of feature that was super specific to you that only you would like, it could hinder the sale later on down the road. And that was actually the conversation we had yesterday with a client that they thought their home was going to value a little bit higher once we went through our process on that end of it, and we had to not add some of the features that they added.
What are some examples of that?
Well, for instance, like 3 fireplaces.
Okay. You're saying no one needs 3 fireplaces? Or the value of 3 fireplaces is not what you think it would be?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's more the thing.
Where would the 3 fireplaces be?
Well, there was one.
Like a basement,
there was
main level, and the master bedroom?
Yeah, correct. That's exactly. And they were all masonry fireplaces. They were all $30,000 to $40,000 fireplaces, right? You're
primary suite.
Primary suite. Thank you very much. Look at that. You're self-correcting.
I'm learning.
You're self-correcting. You're self-correcting.
I'm learning.
If
Spent a lot of time with you.
If Yvonne was watching, she'd be proud of you.
Thank you, Yvonne.
She's literally used that on me. Like, you are self-correcting.
I'm self-correcting,
I
Yvonne.
am very proud of you.
I'm self-correcting.
Primary. But, the thing was they had these fireplaces built, and they felt that was $120,000 or whatever it was, and it really wasn't. It's just, it doesn't have that value. It was important to them to have that in it. You could put 3 gas fireplaces in there for $5,000 a piece. Even though it's different, it's still a fireplace.
Yeah.
Right? So it's this nuance, it's
if you're going to overbuild one aspect of the home, what will yield the most return on investment in the overbuild? Is it got to be? It's the kitchen, right? It's got to be the kitchen.
You know, years ago I would say yes.
Okay, what do you say? Primary suite bathroom now?
Well, here's the question: do you put a hot tub in it, or do you put a soaker tub in it, or not?
Well, okay. Here's a follow-up question for you.
No, I asked it first.
Here's the question for you. For your question.
Hold it. Whose turn is it?
The jetted tubs.
Yeah.
Now a thing of the past almost.
I've been saying that for decades.
Yeah. Now the jetted tub, not so much fashionable, and maybe like a standalone soaker clawfoot tub is more in vogue.
Yeah, I will tell you.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it is fair. You know, we have a jetted tub in our house. It's 20 years old.
Does the jet still work?
Yep, I can count on one hand.
How many times have you used it?
And it was just recently with both my grandson and my granddaughter, and I got yelled at because they wouldn't let me press the button for the jet.
You wanted to do the jets?
I wanted to do the
didn't want to do the jets?
No, my daughter wouldn't let me do it.
How come?
Because they're going to go home to their home and
they're not going to have jets.
They're not going to have jets, and they're going to go, but Grandpa. And
but that's one of the perks of going to Grandpa's house.
That's exactly right. I had bubble bath and everything, and I was ready to go and have the bubbles go up, and I was told no.
No.
It's amazing what they
put you through.
What they put me through.
And you're smiling.
I'm just trying to be a good grandpa.
You're a good. What is your nickname? Is it Grandpa?
Can I say that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. That's terrifying. I don't want to know where you were going with that.
So Yonna's Gigi.
Okay.
And I'm Pop.
That's great.
And it's complicated because my father's Pop.
Yeah. So you got two Pops.
So there's G Pop,
okay,
which is my father,
okay,
and then I'm Pop.
Okay. Mine, my son.
It's a real estate show, right?
Is Gramps and Grams for my parents. And for my wife's parents, it's Mimi and Pee-Pee.
And so, which was the Cuban descent?
Well, those have passed. Well, my mom's Cuban, so she's Grams.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So Yonna's.
My dad's American.
So the Austrian version of is Omi and Opie.
Okay.
Right. Omi is the mother or is the female, and Opie is the male on that end of it.
Good question from Nicholas Erpy. We love you, Nicholas Erpy.
Hey, Nicholas.
CMO.
I was thinking of him.
Emergent Financial Services. We
him?
love you, Nicholas Erpy.
Oh, I know I was thinking of him.
Why? Do you want to tell him why?
No,
what you were thinking?
I got it. I'll remember it.
Okay, Nick's a good guy.
I know he is.
I like his mischievous streak from Nicholas Erpy. Why is the jetted tub not fashionable? Is it that they're not as great as they seem, like wine cellar tasting rooms, or is it a matter of just not everyone wanting one? Good question, Nicholas Erpy. I'll give you the round of applause for that, Nick. That was well done.
You know, I think it comes down to people just don't use them regularly.
Yeah. And
they were told.
Go ahead.
81, right? 89, 90, that you had to have one to sell a home, and that's not true, in my opinion. Most people that we talk to would rather see like a 6 foot. If you have like a 5 or 6 foot jetted tub, a double head 6 foot or 5 foot shower, right, would get more use. We have one, right? But
we have one too, a jetted tub.
Do you use?
Yeah. Well, my wife uses the tub, does not use the jets. This is what we have found as we contemplate a master bathroom remodel.
Ooh, we just did ours.
The jetted tub is a very large structure.
It's a lot of square footage.
And it often has a tile encasing built around it.
Correct.
So when you look at your master bathroom, a lot of the allocation is to a jetted tub. And you think about how that space could be used more efficiently.
So
is that fair?
No, yeah, totally. I used to try to convince.
And the jets sometimes break.
Yeah. And then it's a pain in the butt to get to.
Because you have to get an electrician.
Well, you got to get an electrician, you got to get a plumber.
Yeah.
It depends how you can access. Not to get into the weeds on this.
Yeah, but some people have to break the tile.
It's because you don't have the right access. I used to suggest to folks.
Fortunately, we have a little square in the drywall that we can access.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Unless the problem's on the other end.
Yeah, I hope to God it's not on the other side. Because if it's not getting fixed. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The motor on the wrong side.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
I think our motor's on the right side, fortunately.
Everything's on the right side for you. So
that's not true.
So you're a righty, aren't you?
I am a righty.
And so there you go. So what I used to counsel folks to do was, in that space, put like a bench seat in it, right? And look, if you're going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a jetted tub, just go put a hot tub in the backyard.
Jetted tub is more than that.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going back
to when you were doing it.
Yeah, 10, 15 years.
A jetted tub now is, I bet you, approaching
probably $3,000 or $4,000. I imagine. Yeah.
Probably closer to $5,000.
Yeah.
Depending on which one you get.
I mean, if you're really going to use it for that, get a hot tub. To do that, but I don't
the
know
hot tub on the back deck.
How did we get to?
You brought this up.
Oh, you?
Maybe yes.
Maybe no.
Yes. How about this question?
How did I get blamed for this?
More questions coming in.
Thank you, folks.
We do not know how many offers are presented to a seller in 2021, with the offers sometimes having escalation clauses. And if seller accepts an escalation clause, it may raise the median price a lot higher. From Mustache Dan Pettit.
Try that question again.
He says, we do not know how many offers are presented to a seller in 2021.
Okay.
With the offers sometimes having escalation clauses. Sometimes they do. We know that. Yeah.
Yep. Just went through one yesterday.
And if a seller accepts an escalation clause, it may raise the median price a lot higher.
Yeah, Dan, I very rarely disagree with you, but I'm trying to figure out the relevance in the question, because the numbers I'm looking at are sold, so they've already closed. So whatever negotiations and escalations and all that great stuff happened, that would be more in the pending side of things. But the numbers we're looking at here these are closed, recorded numbers. I mean, I don't really, at that point in time, the contract's done and we're going through closing process. So I'm not really sure how the escalation clause feeds into, but I may be misunderstanding the question.
Yeah, give us that question again, DP.
From Dan.
Give us it in a different way, DP.
Because these are closed numbers.
Oh, Nick, two people have asked this question right here.
Are we back on jetted tubs?
Does that mean the hot tub in the backyard is a better idea?
Look, everything's a matter of opinion.
Also tied to what you want with your quality of life.
I actually think it's better, but it also may be where you're at too. You may not be able to do that in your backyard, right? You may not
have neighbors close that are very close to you.
Well, you can shield that stuff off. That's not a big deal. But
depends on what you're shielding.
Yeah, maybe yes,
maybe no. Yes.
Oh yes, you have to have the right amount of power, right? You have to have the right amount of water. There's there's weight issues to take into consideration.
These things are so heavy.
Yeah, so there's, is the house set up that way? Do you have the room in the backyard? Or if you're in a townhome, do you have the space or not, on that end of it? So there's a lot of site-specific things, but in general terms, as one who broke his back a couple of times, the hot tub is a freaking awesome thing for that.
Throw this to you. How many? Wow, the hot tub is becoming.
We're back on hot tubs.
Yeah, it's Laura.
It's a big thing.
Laura says, "How many homes do you see have hot tubs?"
Is that the Lauren?
No.
Different Laura?
This is not. Well, my wife's name is Lauren.
Lauren, sorry.
Yeah, this
apologize.
is Laura.
Laura, apologize. I didn't hear it. This right hearing aid is dead. So, as the ear that's closer to you, I can't hear. So the question is how many do we see with hot tubs? Not as many as you think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back on how many we had in them, and then it becomes a thing as, do they want to take it with them? Do they want to leave it? Right, which could potentially happen, because it's technically not a fixed.
How many people are you seeing bringing hot tubs with them?
Yeah, very few.
I was going to say the transport cost alone.
Yeah,
that's like the another one that you will see that's often conveys in the deal is the pool table.
Because they don't want to move it.
To take it apart, and put it back together, that's like a couple grand.
They don't want to move it.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
They don't want to move it.
What other pieces of property or what other items, personal items, do you see most popularly conveying with the deal? Hot tub, pool table.
So that's a slippery slope.
Okay.
Because
why he's saying that is people get, the last thing you want is a deal to break down on a personal item, whether the buyer sees it as conveying and the seller wants to keep it because it is an attachment to themselves. So the last thing these folks want to deal with is the purchasing of furniture in a deal.
Let's see how much you've learned. Why is that? What is not personal property?
So what is not personal property?
What is personal property?
What is part of the deal?
So what actually conveys?
So if it is attached to the wall,
Real property.
yeah,
Personal property is not real property.
okay. So I was right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So real property or real
I
estate
learned a lot from you.
is what I knew you knew the answer is not conveying. And as a rule of thumb, when you start in a negotiating and people are talking about pool tables and all that stuff, your deal's in trouble.
Yeah, you're the hair on your neck stands up.
I immediately shut it down and say, look, this is something we can deal with post-contract. We're focusing on real property at this point. If somebody isn't going to get a home because of furniture or a pool table, then, you're kind of in slippery slope area on that stuff because it's not going to convey, it's not going to get funded, right? It's not real, what they call real property.
Okay, you're the pro. I'm just have a microphone here. The best way to handle that is to handle that negotiation post-closing.
Yeah, well, that's the only way to really.
Where the buyer is interacting with the seller one-on-one,
Yeah.
and the agent doesn't have to be a broker for furniture.
Oh, no, we have forms for personal property to convey out and all that stuff. I'm just telling you the way I do business is, you don't.
Post-closing.
No. Post-contract.
Post-contract, gotcha.
Right. So from my perspective and how I do it, for what it's worth, on either side, a seller or a buy, we say, look, let's focus on real property. Let's get the contract done on real property. Let's finish the negotiation on. Let's finish the terms on that. How are we going to fund it? How are we going to close it? So forth and so on. And then after that's done, we can start having the conversation about real property. But I'll tell you, it's weird. You'll get to an end of a deal, and sometimes blinds or something silly that is not part of the transaction can make a transaction go squirrely at the back end of it. Again, that's why you need a trusted advisor to do that.
How about this from Stephen Coppinger? So what are the most popular items that convey in a deal?
But generally, they're attached, right? That's kind of the rule of thumb, right? So if it's attached, it's physically, so this is real property. So state of Virginia, when you say real property, it's from the land up. So whatever's attached to the land and it's attached to it. So if there is a chandelier that's attached.
That could be a sticky one.
Well, generally what will happen is if we're going to list your house.
You're going to put in the notes, except the chandelier.
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
This is the one
Stop being so good at this.
Well, I've learned a lot. One of the ones that I've seen become an issue is a super deluxe, and this happened firsthand with me. I made a mistake.
Whoa! Say that again.
I made a mistake.
Hold on. This right hearing aid isn't quite working.
I made a mistake.
You made an error. Really?
The super deluxe.
Hold on, let me turn this hearing aid.
I made a mistake. The super deluxe television sound system movie that's attached to the wall.
Yeah.
Where you have say like a 60+ inch TV and you've attached the sound bar and you've gone with like a great company like ProLink who's built it out nicely above the fireplace and mantle.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're like, oh, that's coming with me. Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
It's attached.
It's attached to the wall.
And whoever helped you with that should have put it in the listing.
Yeah.
Except maybe that didn't happen.
That didn't happen, right?
And why should you use a trusted
advisor? That's a perfect example. Because next thing you know, you may be walking away from a few $1,000s in technology
and going, oh shit!
Yeah.
I got to go buy a new.
And at that situation,
excuse me. Oh shucks! I
apologize. It's okay. They're not SEC. And at that point, you just say that's the cost of doing business.
Yeah. Well.
And you learn something.
Yeah, well, that's what you learn from. But, correct, like mounts and all that kind of great stuff. The TV that was attached to it, you were able to take, right?
Yeah, TV I took.
But everything else that was mounted to the walls?
Right.
Yeah.
And the stuff that was mounted to the wall, all those components can add up.
So that kind of brings back to this conversation that, what happens when we sit down and, oh, good, he's smiling.
People are saying Jerry makes mistakes? Question mark. Rarely, unless you're talking to my wife, which is all the time.
This is a perfect.
Oh no, she's watching.
So this is a perfect opportunity to get Judah involved in the conversation.
Oh, let's go to the Judah camera.
Let's go to the Judah camera.
Guys, we're about to see our director, and I can tell he's very pleased about this.
So Judah, I need to ask you a personal favor.
Here we go.
All right.
Would you mind cutting that up into a scissor reel and sending it to me? I made a mistake because I think I might need that a little bit later. Could you do that for me, Judah?
I think we can do that.
Thank you, Judah. I appreciate
You got some
that.
leverage right there.
Leverage.
The realtor loves the leverage.
Always have a little bit of something in the back pocket. To go back to this conversation I had yesterday, right? To talk about, or we started today about numbers, right? You know, how do you come up with numbers? And it's really more than numbers, right?
More questions on this. Can we get to this?
Yeah, just a second.
Okay.
So one of the conversations a trusted advisor is going to have when I walk through your home is, okay, what's staying, what's going? You know, hey, this is a really expensive chandelier. Are you intending to take that with you? And if the answer is yes, so how about this? Before we list it, why don't we get an electrician in here, take it down, put a different chandelier up in there, box it, so it's all taken care of prior to listing the home on that end of it. So if there's things like that, sometimes there's a value just to knock that out. But that's why, in my opinion, this iPhone or whatever is never really going to be able to do what we do well.
Absolutely, 100%. So this question has come in from Stephen Marcus. I think this is a first. Stephen, have you commented before? I do not recognize your name. Let me know if you have here. So what unique items are most likely to be a part of the deal that are asked for from the buyer that end up being part of the deal? So a pool table is not attached, so that would be something that would either be included in the notes or the buyer can try to negotiate for.
So what will happen, and that's exactly right. So you set this thing up right in the listing, right? You put in the agent notes or the public notes, more than likely in the agent notes. Pool table will convey, right? With a, you know, an acceptable offer. You know, you want to quantify it a little bit. Hot tub will convey, right, with an acceptable offer. So again, that's what I was trying to get to. When we do our walkthrough through your home, before we even talk about numbers, we need to have these conversations with you on what's staying, what's going. You know, is both partners in the home made this jump from a home to a house? Are they ready to move? In other words, sometimes that's not the case. Like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, right?
Sure.
You know,
follow-ups.
on that follow-ups. Okay, go. I'm going to sip my coffee. My lovely Shenandoah Joe coffee.
Dave Fafara, Shenandoah Joe's, part of the toy lift on Friday.
On Friday.
Fashion Square Mall. He's going to be up in the air. Dave Fafara, we love you.
Yeah, maybe with a bungee, huh? Up and down. No.
Stephen continued. Yes, that was my first comment. I love the shows you do on the network here. How about cars? Has Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith. Clearly, he doesn't know me.
We'll call him Keith, but we appreciate you commenting, though.
Usually it's hey you or something else.
How about cars and deals?
I personally have never
done a deal with a car.
Did a deal with the car.
Yeah.
I will tell you.
Have you ever heard any deals with the car? Car's a very expensive animal to be part of a deal.
Well, and then it becomes a tax issue too. A tax liability on that end.
What you may see more likely, and
go ahead,
is what you may see more likely is the lift in the garage.
Oh yeah, we just
showcasing a nice car.
Where we have a mutual client that had a lift in the car.
Right.
But that's we had two mutual clients actually. There was a lift on one's a client, one's a friend,
okay.
A friend of the show.
Okay. The lift is more common.
The lift, and it's mounted.
Yeah. Is it mounted?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that's secured.
The lift is not just on the cement in the garage?
Oh no.
It's mounted?
Oh, absolutely, it's mounted.
Okay.
I mean, you've got 4 or 5, thousands and thousands of pounds up there. You need to have that secured. But the ones that we've done, you just put in the notes. Lift conveys, or lift is negotiable, or something like that. Or in one case, for ours, it was a commercial lift, had in his residence, and they specifically put in the notes, lift shall not convey, right? The seller will remove the lift prior to closing.
How much are those lifts? They're not cheap.
I'm not an expert. I wouldn't. They're thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I imagine. I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Any other unique items you've seen?
Yeah, it's really basic stuff. You know, you don't really see that many stuff on that end of it, and it's usually put in the listing. And most people are just trying to get to the deal.
Yeah.
Right? And then we kind of move on from there.
This one, also of high-end finishings in the terrace level, appraisers look at lower levels differently in appraising the homes.
That's true.
So the high-end finishes aren't often valued the same as a seller would think.
Well, we do the same with our CMA, right? Because it's cheaper square footage to finish.
Well, and let's put this in perspective. And a lot of people don't want to hear this, but this is the truth here. The lower level basement or underground homes do not carry the same value as a second floor upper level of a home. So if you have a home, okay, maybe you disagree. If you have a home that it's a first level above ground, and then you have the second level below it, and it has identical square feet, identical finishes, everything the same, but its counterpart is first level above ground and second level above ground, versus the first home is first level above ground, second level below ground. The home that has the second level above ground will have most likely a higher value. You disagree with that?
Maybe yes, maybe no, yes.
Oh, we should go down that road. That's a good topic.
Well, does both of them have master bedrooms on the first floor?
Yeah, everything's identical except second floor above ground, second floor below ground.
So it depends on your buyer profile, right? Somebody
Still
might
have to do stairs either way.
No, not necessarily.
How would you get to the basement without stairs?
But you don't need to go there, right? If I don't need, if
They wouldn't have to go to the second floor then.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't generalize it that much.
You're
right?
not saying it's a good rule of thumb?
No,
Above ground square feet's more valuable than below ground?
I can tell you above ground square footage is cheaper to build.
Oh, by far, significantly.
Than below ground
Yeah.
thing. But
explain why.
well, because you don't have to build you don't have to build a basement, right?
That's right.
But on most situations, you're going to have to build. We're just assuming that the lot is set up
Everything the same.
that you have to build a basement. So if you have to build a basement and you're going to put an apartment down there or something, so it really depends a lot on the details. What am I putting down in there? Is there a two-car garage? Is it a drive on the garage? Do I have a detached garage? There's a lot of variables, and that's, again, why these automated values, in my opinion, don't work, because you got to really look at each individual home from a very specific thing. So generalization of it is a bit of a slippery slope on that end of it. So even Liza agrees with me. but it's a bit of a slippery slope on that, because you have to look at a particular. And at some point, we're going to talk about the appraisal reassessments that are coming up in our areas. But this is a prime example why you have to really look at each individual building or each individual home on its own merits. And to generalize it can be a little bit problematic on that end of it.
We will get to appraisals. You're handling this very well. I like the feedback that's coming in from viewers. We got another one. Are you ready for this?
I'm sipping coffee.
Okay. Joanne Mackey.
I'm not doing therapy on the side.
Joanne Mackey, I enjoy seeing you around. Your tennis game is absolutely fantastic, Joanne Mackey. That backstroke is A+++. She says, sounds like a multifamily home is identical, not just a principal bedroom, but full kitchen. Violates zoning in my neighborhood, so not happening. That reduces value to me and would never live there.
Yeah, I don't know which neighborhood you're talking about.
I don't want to blow up her spot.
Yeah, totally. I understand.
Perhaps close to me.
Yeah, but excuse me?
Perhaps close to me.
Got it. So an interesting stat is 24% of the sales, and we talked about this several times, of so far 2021, are multi-generational homes. This is what's old is becoming new again, right? You're starting to see these multi-generational homes on that end of it. So I happen to live in a Lake Monticello Owners Association. You actually can have an apartment in your basement there. Here's the catch. And I bet you this particular subdivision we're talking about, if you dig into it, you can do the same thing. As long as it's related to you. So if you wanted to put your mother and father in an apartment.
That's different than.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
But it's
than
allowed.
Renting to a tenant.
Okay, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So our HOA, you cannot rent it to somebody who's not related to you.
Okay, so here's a very technical question for you. Are you ready for this?
I'm out of coffee.
This might be a maybe yes, maybe no yes.
I'm out of coffee.
Can you take your HOAs restrict a lot of stuff. Joanne, you'll appreciate this question. Can you take your basement, put a family member in there? Because the family member sometimes is allowed by the HOAs.
Okay.
And get a monthly rent check from them.
Well, how would they know?
You're saying the HOA.
How would they know?
I mean, you have the neighborhood watch.
Well, how are they going to know?
That's normally how it's found out as the neighborhood watch.
So
How would they know? How would they know that Leroy Brown is in your basement and is not family and is running to you?
Because I'm going to have a conversation with you and know that that's not your family member. But if everybody in my neighborhood knows my mother and father in the basement, what my mother and father are paying me is
But how about you? What if it's your second cousin and your second cousin is paying you rent?
They're relatives.
That's a little gray area.
I don't
mind living in the gray area. You know, I don't mind living in the gray area. But that's a little gray area.
As you can tell, I'm good with living in the gray area.
He's referencing his hair for those that are listening in their cars.
That's right, yeah,
on Spotify, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts.
My gray hair. So Tiger Woods is not going to play golf anymore.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for telling us. But what do you think of that topic?
Yeah, as long, first of all, let's get a little serious here.
Okay.
If you're going to do this, check with your county, right?
Yeah.
Find out what your zoning ordinance
Before you
is
put
allowed.
the money into it.
Absolutely. What your
Please.
zoning ordinance allow. Dig into your HOA docs if you live in an HOA. Find out what you want to do, what you're allowed to do on that. So in Fulvana County, for instance, most people do not know this. Fulvana County has had on the books for quite some time an auxiliary dwelling unit. So if I was not living in Lake Monticello and I was living outside and I put an ADU or an apartment in my basement, I can rent it to you. I can rent it to somebody who's not related to me. Lake Monticello, on the other hand, says the family must be related to me on that end of it. What they charge you, or if there's a charge on that, is
family business.
it's none of their business. As long as they're family members. Soon as they become not family members, and that's where, and we had this conversation with Neil Williamson, right? It's the next door neighbor police that's going to drop.
It's going to blow up the spot. That's going to drop a dime.
Yeah.
It's going to rat them out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's going to call the neighborhood watch.
That's it.
Tattletale.
Maybe yes, maybe no yes. Well, that's what happens. That's how this happens, right? That's how these zoning enforcements are enforced, right? On that end of it, right? Now, if we were Airbnb in it, it's a little easier, right? Because they can get online and say, oh.
They can go on Airbnb. They can go on VRBO.
That's exactly
and see
right.
it listed.
That's exactly right. But you can rent an apartment to your. I mean, is it poor form or not? That's something else.
Why would it be poor form?
Well, it wouldn't be. I mean, we're literally having this conversation.
Yeah, with yours.
My mother and father on that end of it, you know, they could sell their home, make a little bit of thing. Hey, Keith and Yonna will invest X amount of dollars. Can you invest Y amount of dollars? We'll build an apartment in the basement for you. You know, part of the fee is dinner's got to be on the table and wash these.
Do some laundry.
That's what I told my mother.
Pop, you're doing the hedges.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, but the point, yeah.
You're walking forest, Pop.
There you go. And my garage needs a little bit of cleaning up while you're at it.
Wash the truck, Pop.
No, I'm only kidding. I'm only
really.
kidding.
It's not.
I am kidding.
I know you're kidding. And you guys would welcome them with open arms.
I would absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I literally would love it.
Is it Lenny, your dad?
Pop.
Lenny?
Pop.
Okay. Have Lenny buy all the groceries instead of the red check when moving in with Keith.
So my biggest problem is the beer would
That's
run.
a good idea.
The beer
but I think that's called laundering money.
The biggest problem I'll have is the beer that I got sitting in my refrigerator in the garage will just evaporate.
What, he just drinking?
Oh, of course.
Yeah?
They do that now. My two brothers and my pop will come in and I say, where did my beer go? Oh, they stopped by and got it. No, we're very fortunate. Within 5 miles or less than that, within 15 miles, I have all my family members except for one.
How about Joanne? You're dropping some knowledge today. Love when you watch the program, Joanne. Dropping knowledge. Are you on the indoor courts, the outdoor? You're not the outdoor courts. It's a little chilly here.
Is she doing that playing tennis?
She's a good tennis player. Multi-generational is different from two-family housing.
That's
that is
correct.
unrelated people living in a residence.
That's correct.
Sure, give grandma a hot plate in the lower level. A full kitchen changes the zoning, though.
It depends, right? And that's the point. You need to go and look. I can tell you, in Fluvanna County, Albemarle County, you can do an apartment in your basement. You can have a second kitchen in it, but it's got to be related, right? And I can't speak to specific details on Albemarle County on that end of it, but I can just tell in Fluvanna, I know for a fact you can do that. But you're 100% right. There's zoning you need to look at. There's the HOA. And we were talking about this with the FLUM, right? There's a thing that nobody's talking about is the building codes, right?
That's why you think this whole future land use map, increased density in Charlottesville may be a smokescreen.
Smokescreen's a tough word.
Maybe
I just don't.
Political collateral.
No, I just.
Political equity.
Some people are saying tens of, a huge number of, and that's not going to happen. It'll probably be between 0 and, 1% or, 5% or something along those lines.
And tell them why.
It's just because it's difficult to build on it. You've got to bring in utilities, and something we never really talked about is there's an additional component in that is how's the utility department's going to look at this, right? So are they going to say, well, now that you've got 2 residential units, I want 2 connections. Those connections are super expensive. You got to make them, you got to pay for them, you got to bring a second, and the power company might say, no, I want you to put a second electric meter in there, or something like that. So all these policies and procedures and process is yet to be determined. It's going to take some time to do it. And as we mentioned, trying to get Robert Liberty from Portland to come in because they're doing it out there and kind of see if we can learn some lessons from them.
Joanne continues. The law is the law. Okay, I won't share that part. The law is the law. If
She called me a dummy?
No, she's not calling you a dummy. She likes the show. She enjoys the content. Joanne's smart. The law is the law. If I cannot circumvent the law to afford living where you may want to live, what happens when you sell? Full disclosure, or remove the stove or oven?
Oh, that's a
great point.
Really great question.
Yeah.
So let's start off.
Dude, let me give her some. Joanne, this is for you.
Thank you, Joanne. Let's first start off. First and foremost, do not do anything to your home unless you check, again, your zoning, you check your HOA, you check your building inspector, and you hire a trusted advisor, which is a general contractor or a remodeler or somebody to come in and say, this is what I want to do. Can I do this legally? Right? So that is always the answer. Now, sometimes we will get I think this is what Joanne's implying, I may be wrong. Sometimes we get a question, a come and see, and this is part of this phone will never do this. Jerry invites me to sell your home, right? Yonna and I to sell your home, and you're on a basement. And we walk, first of all, you remember what I said earlier? We will do all the research on GIS and the tax information and all that stuff, and I'm gonna look at the tax data, and if the tax data doesn't say that there's a second apartment down there and a second kitchen and all that kind of great stuff.
And that's what she's referencing.
That's exactly right. So the first question I'm going to have with the seller is going, great, and this sometimes happens. There's a disconnect between the tax information and the home. Did you get a building permit to do that?
How many do?
Sometimes what you hear is, I don't know, I bought the house like this.
Oh, she was. And okay, so here's a follow-up question for you. And
That's more often than not.
This is a challenging one for you.
So there's ways around that.
Let's say you have, this is a challenging one. Viewers and listeners, get ready for this one. Let's say you have a full basement apartment in your house. That's pretty common. That's common.
It's common, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to define common, but yeah, we see that regularly.
I see that regularly too. Full basement apartment, but there's no building permit.
Mm-hmm.
And they use a realtor to sell their home.
Mm-hmm.
Can you legitimately market the property as having a full basement apartment?
So you're trying to get me into trouble.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you a fair question. I'm sure you've encountered that before.
Yeah. So so at the end of the day, we are reliant upon what the seller tells us, right? So if the seller tells us that, and we like to do our homework, it's who we are, right? It's who Yonna and I, it's who we are. Yes, Realty Partners, we'll go ahead and do that. I will counsel our real estate agents that you should be asking these questions as you walk through that end of it. And if it turns out, because it'll show up, right? It'll show up on the back end of it. Generally, the answer is look, guys, it could have been you bought the home, it was that way, right? So there's solutions to this. You pick up the phone, you call up Albemarle County Building Departments or whatever, and you say, look, I bought a house, it was done, I didn't know this, and all this stuff, what's the process? And there's processes that you can go through on that and stuff. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're probably going to have an inspector come in, you're probably going to have to pay a fee, right? You're going to get your permit, your taxes are going to, your value is going to get jerked
right.
up on that end, which is all legitimate.
The jurisdiction's going to want their cut.
And that's the way it should be done on that end of it. And I'm not going to judge anybody on this show, as you well know.
You don't judge.
I got 3 rules, and that's one of them. But from our perspective, that's what we're going to do our homework before we walk into the door.
How does it get done? Okay, and I'm just trying to learn here. Without a building permit anyway.
Yeah.
Is it just a contractor that doesn't want to go through the hurdles? Is that the most common?
Some of it is honest. I didn't know I needed one.
A contractor didn't know he needed the building permit?
A homeowner could have done it, right?
Themselves.
It could have been an honest, I'm always going to take the high road.
Yeah,
so
you're a good man.
So it could have been an honest mistake. So the answer is, okay, great. Let's recognize what it is. Let's fix it. There's solutions to fix this.
Because the contractor knows to get the building permit, or should.
I don't disagree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's part of getting the Class A.
I'll show you my contractor's license.
Yeah, it says it in there.
Well, yeah. But we're not going to judge. We're not going to point fingers. What we're going to do is try to help you get through this. Again, a large percentage of them are people bought a home and it was there. And whatever reason, it got missed. And that happens from time
Sally
to time.
Bryan says, I'm going to give you props on this. Do you need a building permit to finish an upstairs attic and convert it into a bedroom?
The moment you touch electricity, the moment you touch plumbing, the moment you touch any of that stuff, you need a building permit.
The moment you touch plumbing, electricity.
Right. So if you're going to put electrical, you're going to extend receptacles. The moment somebody touches electrical and changes it, or somebody touches plumbing and changes it, you need a building.
All right. I'll follow up with this. Let's say it's an.
I need more coffee.
Well, now we're really getting into the weeds, but it's a good topic. Let's say it's an attic.
But you're going to run electricity, right? You're going to run. I don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
Right?
Well, let's say it's in an attic, and it has no windows in it, so it can never be marketed as a closet upon resale.
You mean
as a bedroom? As a bedroom, excuse me.
That's exactly
as a
right.
bedroom because it has no windows.
Exactly right.
Would you need a building permit then if you're never going to leverage that as a bedroom upon resale?
So the answer is, Mr. Miller, if you're touching electric,
building permit.
you're also creating more square footage, heated and cooled square footage.
The reason I'm asking this is because if you finish the attic and create more square footage and you register it with the jurisdiction, your assessment is going to go up.
Of course.
And you're going to pay more money every 6 months. The tax assessments are due on the 6th of December in Albemarle County. I'm about to strike a check for it, okay? Your taxes are going to go up.
I'll tell you, that's a topic that I wanted to get to today. Maybe we'll save it for another day.
Oh, we can get to it. I'm very enjoying what's happening today.
But, yeah, of course. I love these shows.
Yeah, me too.
But it's an interesting topic to talk about, and we'll finish your train of thought, and we'll probably get to that because Nelson County actually came out first. And the rest of the counties are in December and January, depending on which jurisdiction you're in. And I'll tell you, we get more phone calls.
Joey, finish your thought. Joey.
How can I finish your thought when you're laughing?
I'm sorry. She's so funny. Go on, finish your thought. I'll tell you this in a second.
That's okay. Go ahead.
No, please finish your thought. I'm not helping your ADD. I apologize. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
Is this a payback?
No, it's not a payback. Not a payback.
But yeah, so the jurisdictions are doing that, and generally this time of the year, that's a lot of my phone calls. Our phone calls is look, hold it, my tax assess is here, my my tax assessed is higher than what I think the market value is. So we can talk about that a little bit. Go into Joanne's question, because you're just teasing me here with your laughing.
She says, Keith should be glad I'm not his mother, because I'm not going into any basement like at the end of the rope at the end of my life. I am going down to Jupiter, Florida in a 3-bedroom apartment on the ocean and not to Keith's basement to live.
So Joanne,
go ahead.
So Joanne must be speaking to my mother, because that's literally what my mother said.
She said she wants to go to Florida, or she doesn't want to go to your basement?
Doesn't want to go to the basement. I'm freaking 80 years old. You're not sticking me in the basement. Literally, that's what my mother said. So we're actually having an ADU discussion in lieu of...
She says we're playing on the outdoor courts only because we don't want to go inside and pay the fee because I'm cheap and I have to save my money so I don't end up in my kid's basement.
She's not cheap.
Joanne is frugal.
Strategic
with her money.
Joanne is smart and a real woman, because I'll tell you what, it's got to be cold out there playing
yeah,
tennis.
Seriously, that's impressive.
I'm impressed with that.
It's very impressive. Let's get to the tax
I'm afraid
assessment.
to ask Joanne to come with her tennis racket. I might get beat.
She will beat you.
She might talk to my mother and
she will beat you, literally and figuratively. Let's get to the topic you went. Oh, if you are listing your home at least in Albemarle County and you finished the basement without permit, in the past you could call appraiser's office and they will come out and tell you what finished square feet you have. This is before you list your home.
That's exactly
Square
right.
feet listed in county records are sometimes wrong in homes.
That's exactly what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. That's why trust. President Reagan, 1981, became a president. Trust but verify, right? So you want to look at all this data and do all your homework. And when you walk in, you understand the home and you start going through it. Well, hold the time out. The finished square footage doesn't jive with the tax square footage, and you want to kind of make sure that the two sync.
You really see that is you really see that on these automated real estate listing sites, where if you go to, so the best one is Realtor.com, right? Because that streams directly.
Well, yeah. So that's if you're looking to buy and sell. It's within a few seconds of what happens.
Gets
I think what you're talking about is like an automated value, right? Like
No. I'm talking
Zestimate or whatever.
No, what I'm talking about is if you go to like a Realtor or an MLS, a Realtor.com or an MLS, and you sometimes compare it and contrast it with the Zillow and or a Trulia,
huge spread, isn't it?
you will see a variation in square feet with the house.
We also see prices huge.
Oh, price is huge.
Yeah,
I disregard the price.
I am not a fan of those personally, but
I disregard those estimates.
Yeah. That's why
I disregard it.
Well,
They're a conversation starter.
Well, it sets sometimes unrealistic expectations. I'll tell you, I've done it on my personal home. If I could get what Zestimate says,
You'd be selling tomorrow.
I would be living in Charlottesville right now.
Selling tomorrow.
Right, but that's not what the market is in my area. It's $100,000 off. I mean, it's not even freaking close. But they're automated, and it doesn't. That's why you need a Dan. That's why you need whoever real estate agents are watching right now or listening right now. That's why you need to hire these folks or us to get in there and really dive into it and take a look at it and do your homework. Just like we prepare for the show, all kidding aside, a couple hours a time. That's what we do prior to walking into your home. Is we do our homework, and the real estate professional does their homework. That Zestimates or whatever the heck they are just doing automated stuff. But that's kind of brings us back to this tax thing, right? So I get these phone calls all the time that we'll hold it. The tax assessed value is higher than the market. What do I do? And this is super important. If you own a home right now and you get your tax bill, I'm looking at Nelson County's version right now, every single jurisdiction has an appeal process. And they're all generally the same. And you can send them information. And I would reach out to a real estate agent or a trusted advisor. I generally get these phone calls around regularly. I've got a few already. And what we do is we do a CMA from them, give them a comparative market analysis, shows the number, and generally the jurisdiction will accept that, because the way they do these things, they're all desktop setups, right? and we just talked about how some of these automated apps and all this stuff get it wrong. Well, they get it wrong too. Now, if it's below the market value and your square footage is right, that's when you want to shut up, right? Because you're paying less taxes.
Unless it's time to sell.
Yeah, but one has nothing to do with the other.
Well,
It has nothing to do with the other.
okay, let me throw this to you.
Don't ever look at tax assessment to establish market value. Ever.
Never.
Never do it. Never look at it.
People do that.
I know that, and it's not the right approach.
It's not the right KPI.
It's because what we just walked over. It's just look. And if Neil was sitting here, he'd have a lot more to add to it. And I've said this on the show before. All a tax assessment achieves, what they're trying to achieve, is a balance between the value of the total real estate in a jurisdiction versus the tax rate versus the budget. And unlike the federal government and all this stuff, the local governments have to hit a zero balance. They have to have a balanced budget every year. And this is what they'll do. They'll play with this. And it's, what Fulvana County, how many rooftops are in Charlottesville? 50,000, right?
Yeah, roughly.
Or something like that.
Well, 50,000 population. So if the population
I
in the
don't
city
know.
of Charlottesville is 50K, rooftops are a lot less.
Yeah, I don't.
'Cause
Whatever.
you average probably like 2 people a rooftop. So I would say there's probably
Just pick a number, really.
20K rooftops.
Yeah, 25,000 just for simple
Yeah.
math on the end of it. So what they're going to do is they're going to set these values up to match it. So the tax rate. So the process works. It started already. They're doing these assessments. Their desktop set up. Somebody doesn't go into each one of the homes, or the 25,000 homes, or the 14,000 homes at Lake Monticello or Fulvana County or whatever it is, and look at them and do what we do. But they're just going to come up with a general number, and they're going to say, okay, there's the value. And then they're already started the budget process. So they're going to go through the budget process in December and January. They're going to set the budgets. And then the discussion amongst elected officials is, okay, we've got an assessed value of this. We've got a budget of that. What do we need to adjust the rate to get it to zero? That's how this works. It's got not a damn thing to do with market value. It's got freaking nothing to do with it. And so generally, that I've got a little animated about it, but
I like it.
But generally, that's as soon as that conversation comes up, we very quickly say, look, the CMA, what's buying and selling, what just happened in the last 90 days is is reflective of what your home is worth than somebody sitting behind a desk looking at data that's a year old.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did I do a good job?
You did a good job.
Not a great job, but a good job.
You did a great job. This question has come in. Ooh. This is an entire show topic. I'm even hesitant to ask this question, but I respect all the comments and questions that are coming. People that take the time to put something on the feed, I'll relay on it.
Yeah, sure.
Spencer Martin.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think this new variant is going to impact the real estate market?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah, that's a show by itself. We can why don't we touch on it?
Nobody knows. That's the honest answer. Nobody really knows. Nobody really knows what it is.
I'm
what I do know is everybody needs to get vaccinated.
Okay, I've been boosted.
Yep.
My wife and I got boosted last week.
I'm a 3-shotter.
We cannot wait till our little man is vaccinated. We can't wait till it's the under 5s can get it. That's going to be a peace of mind for parents.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to marginalize what's happening. Okay? I'm choosing my words
carefully.
So
this is very real.
Yeah.
Right. They shut down Austria.
Well, one of my good friends, well, not good friends, one of my friends is his family's in South Africa.
Ooh.
In Johannesburg.
Can't get out.
He hasn't seen them in years, his parents, his family.
Yeah.
He lives in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Can't see his parents.
Yeah.
They can't come here, can't go there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Holidays, that's
Yonna
worst.
hasn't seen her only living relative, which is her sister, over 2 years.
Yeah, same with him.
Prior to, and they usually see each other at least once a year, and they have not seen each other.
Same with him.
Thank God for FaceTime and
that's what he
Skype
said.
and WhatsApp and all that kind of great stuff, and Zoom on that end of it. Look,
This is what I was going to say, and then I'll get out of your way here because I'm very curious of your opinion. are we not going to be dealing with new variants on this every 3 to 4 months?
It's funny you should say that. My son-in-law doctor
Yes.
was basically saying the same thing. This thing is going to constantly mutate.
I like your son-in-law.
Pardon?
I like your son-in-law.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
Real good man. Lucky to have both of them, to be honest with you. Very
you
lucky.
too, Harry.
Yeah. But the question was how this will impact the real estate market.
Yeah. Good question. It's a real estate show.
And it's a great question. I was reading actually, I was going to text you some stuff on HouseWire. I was reading last night on that end of it. I think just the fact that it's out there is kind of tamping down interest rates a little bit. I think the Fed is kind of wondering if it should mess around with the rates or not. I think that's impacting it a little bit. A lot of it will be what the feds and the states allow to happen, right? As far as shutdowns and, whatever it might happen. We just don't know. I'll tell you this much. If we're allowed to conduct business, we proved it. Our industry adapted pretty damn fast, right? And pretty safely to it. So, it's a tough question, man. It's very crystal ball. I'd rather have a conversation about where inventory's going and interest rates.
Than pandemic mutations. I agree.
But I think you're spot on, and I think my son-in-law's spot on. This is the new normal.
This is what it is.
This is the new normal. I don't think
Just like the flu mutates strains.
That's exactly right.
It is what it is.
He was telling me, and I did not know this, my son-in-law, that they just guess. They have some math to it, but the shots that they're giving, that we took our flu shots also on that end of it, because you're at a certain age, that's what you're supposed to do.
I got a flu shot.
But they don't really know if that's the strain that's going to happen. They just kind of figure it out, however they do that on that end of it. But it's a great bleeping question. I know on Real Talk we're going to adapt to it. I know our market's going to adapt to what happens, and
I don't think there's the political clout, the political equity, the political leverage anymore to do a shutdown like we did in 2020.
Well,
would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, so you're fearful of that?
No, I didn't say that. What I said is I just don't know. We don't know what this is, right? Right? And so there's some articles that you read that this strain is maybe worse than the other strains.
Well, that was the same case with the Delta strain.
That's correct. So it just kind of gets a little stronger, a little stronger, a little stronger. Look, those type of I'll talk local politics and process and all this stuff all day long. That kind of stuff I stay away from.
Yeah.
These are people that are way better suited to answer those questions than myself. I know that's a little bit of a checkup of an answer.
No, it's not a checkup. That's a fair comment.
But the reality of it is, our industry, if allowed, will adapt and overcome. United States Marine Corps. Adapt and overcome.
I do not, okay, I will say this. I understand you want to stay away from this. I do not see a shutdown happening again. It devastated Main Street. Small business. While empowering and strengthening big business.
It depends on what happens, right? So,
I will say what you said about Powell and inflation and interest rates. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Where it's going to check up decision makers from backstopping the economy sooner.
Yeah.
I think the backstop will stay a little longer with this. I mean, you look at the board now.
I'm
you
looking
got
at
stocks selling off red.
I'm looking at it right now. So let's paint for the sake of a talk show.
For the sake of a talk show.
Let's paint, and I really don't even want to say these things. I don't want to throw negative vibes out to the universe.
Yeah, I respect that.
But if the 3 shots you've got, the 3 shots I've got.
I got Johnson & Johnson first. So I got 2. Johnson was a 1 shot.
Got it. So I got 3.
I got 2. You got 3.
I got 3 on that. Yeah. But we're all shot up.
We're shot up.
We're shot up on flus.
Yeah.
But if a strain happens that our injections aren't helping protect us, then that's a whole different game, right? We don't know if that's happening or not, right? And I don't want to do that, but it's a different thing. I would agree with you. Is the political will there to do this? Frankly, I think it would be political suicide.
Political suicide.
Suicide to do that,
Yes.
But again,
You got a governor-elect in Youngkin, whose campaign foundation, part of his tenets was, we're not going to do this.
look at the time.
Okay, I understand you don't want to
No,
talk
go
about
ahead, go
and
ahead.
I respect that about you.
The question-
I respect you too much to go down this road.
The question was, if the variant gets like Delta was, right? Is our business going to continue along?
Yes.
And the answer is yes. I don't think it's going to impact it as long as this new variant, the shots that people are getting, and that they need to get their shots, right? That they're getting, or their jabs, as our British friends would
Their
say.
jabs.
On that end of it, and these jabs protect you, or somewhat protect you, or increase your chances of protecting you on that, then our business is going to continue to roll along. If that mathematical equation changes, then we're going to have to deal with what happens when it happens. Did
No,
I?
you handle that well.
Did I do that?
You handle that. You handle those topics well. You know you do.
So any other questions on
Yeah.
that?
So this is the on sold. This is from Dan. Wants to follow up on what he said
Sure.
on sold home stats. I wondered how many closed homes were bought with the escalation clause.
Yeah.
All I was saying that I do think that would raise the medium sales price on sold homes.
Yeah, because they end up in the contract end of it. So what he's talking about is what happened prior to the ratified contract and closing, and that's true. The escalation clauses are, but they work themselves out, Dan. And again, if I'm wrong, please call me after the show and correct me. But those get worked out prior to, and there's really no way for us to determine that other than pick up the phone and call a bunch of real estate agents and say, well, tell me about your escalation clauses. There's really no way to do that in our Paragon system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How about this one? The flu
Thank
is
you,
a,
Dan.
The flu is a virus.
Sure.
We need to learn how to live with COVID. How did Delta affect the real estate industry? We have no data other than it exists.
Yeah.
Really vaccinated? No need to panic. Require buyers to be vaccinated. Are all realtors vaccinated?
So I can't answer all realtors are vaccinated or not. I know everybody that I work with and I know closely are vaccinated.
I mean,
on
I
that
can't say this, that Albemarle County, in fact, I'll look this up right now for the show's sakes. Albemarle County vaccination rate.
It's pretty high, actually.
Dude, it is ridiculously high.
Yeah.
It is ridiculously high in Albemarle County. Could someone give me the vaccination rates in Albemarle County? It's a little, as of last month, over 85% of vaccinated people that were eligible to receive the vaccine, over 85% of the people in Albemarle County were vaccinated. In fact, I may have it right here.
Is that the number, 85%?
That, as of last month, I would imagine it's even higher now.
Yeah.
Albemarle County.
I don't know if that was a question or more of a comment on that, but most of the real estate agents, and I think there was something in there about making buyers and sellers get, there's actually no way to enforce that and make that happen on that end of it. Some people, this is part of your interview process, right? We run our own businesses, and if you're not comfortable with doing business with somebody who isn't vaccinated, that's your choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Would you ever do that? Would it ever be?
We
You
have
need to be vaccinated?
we have a conversation about
Proof of vaccination?
No, we don't do that. We have a conversation just like any other business meeting. Over there, we show up with a mask, and are you vaccinated? Yes, I'm vaccinated. Great. Do you mind if we take our mask off? And yes, we'll have that conversation. There's ways of having that conversation without being so direct or blunt about it. But generally, it's just like you start a meeting, right? If you're meeting with somebody you never met before and in your close proximity, what do? You show up with a mask.
Yeah.
I have a mask on. Hey, Jerry, are you fully vaccinated? I am. Okay, great. I got to trust you and have faith in you. I'm not going to ask you to show me my card.
Right.
Right? And then we move on.
I actually have, I play a lot of squash. I actually, for the first time
You played squash with a mask on?
No, not a mask. Dude, that would be
Yeah, that's
that
insane.
would be impossible to breathe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But for the first
But
time,
I would make you wear a mask when we play, so give me a
Yes.
chance to win.
for the first time, someone asked me. I went into the box, and before I went into the box, before my opponent went into the box, they
So
knocked-
people who don't know squash, you want to tell what a box
yeah,
is?
it's you play in a box.
It's a glass cage, right?
Yeah, you play 4 walls around you. It's a
Yeah.
box. Racquetball is even more enclosed because there are ceilings. Squash, there's no ceiling to it. So racquetball, COVID is killing the sport of racquetball.
I'm sure.
Like that was my sport. Transition more to squash because racquetball is fully in a 100%
Have you ever
box.
played handball?
Yeah, I played handball.
I used to play handball as a kid all the time.
First time I was asked last week, not only this question, before the opponent would get in, are you vaccinated? Are you boosted?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just had this conversation, you and I, right?
Yeah.
We just
Are you
had this-
boosted though?
Yeah,
Have you been
I mean,
asked, are you boosted?
You know, but, excuse me?
Have you been asked yet, are you boosted? You've been asked, are you vaccinated?
No,
You've been
I
asked, are you
generally ask
boosted?
the question, are you fully vaccinated?
Fully vaccinated. Okay. This question was, are you boosted?
Yeah.
I wonder if the next, because you know how they track 1 dose of vaccination and then who's got the 2nd dose? I wonder if the new tracking KPI.
Do you carry your card with you?
I have my card in my wallet.
Yeah, me too.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if the next KPI they're tracking is, are you boosted?
Yeah, it's what you're comfortable with, and you're going to have a meeting on it. And you know, I think, you know, I was hopeful. I was actually having this conversation with we had an executive committee meeting for the Regional Housing Partnership. We had set an agenda for next week on that end of it, and I was part of where this new variant is kicking in. I was hoping somewhere in 2022 we would be able to go back to an in-person seminar, right? Which we did the first year.
You don't see that happening?
Yeah, I think that's going to probably be tampered a little bit, and I get it, I understand it, but you know, in person, in events like that. I was down at the Regional Housing Partnership. I was down at the Virginia Governor's Housing Conference and speaking on the end of it, and these were 1,000 people in a room or 1,000 people in plus in a thing, and they had protocols, right? And they had their own masks, and everybody wore masks. Everybody was respectful for it. You know, when you were speaking, when you were presenting, which I was, you took your mask off. When you were done with it, you put your mask back on. And everybody respected it and understood it, and they were when you filled out the thing, you had to describe were you vaccinated or not and stuff like that. It's a new world.
It is a new world.
It is what it is.
How does your daughter feel with her kids with vaccinations in the under 5?
Did not ask that question.
Yeah.
You know, if she wanted to talk to me about it, she'd bring it up. So I left it alone. I think, is it under what?
Under 5 cannot be. It's
Yeah.
not
So
approved
both
yet.
of them are under
Are under
5.
5.
Yeah.
Our little one's under
one's
5
soon
too.
to be 3, and one's like 8 months or 10 months
Yeah.
old, something like
I
that.
think that's the next level of marketplace confidence, is the youngin'. Time will tell. My friend, we came in here shooting at the hip and put a pretty darn good one together right here.
I love it. I think I had fun yesterday. I had fun.
I had more fun, even more fun today.
Excuse me?
I had even more fun today.
Yeah, I love it when it's just, you know what I really
When you
love?
bring the coffee to.
Yeah, that's Dave.
Yeah. Shenandoah Joe.
I love when that happens. What you're doing right there, when you're reading on feeds and X and questions, and it moves the show into a different direction. And you know, I think I'm getting better with you pushing me out of my comfort zone, and I'll push back if I don't think it's I think something that I shouldn't talk about, and because I have to be respectful of other folks and my licensings actually.
Yeah, I don't want to go to realtor jail. And you do a good job of that.
I just took my ethics course last Wednesday.
How did that go?
Good. I passed. Yay.
Good job.
I got to next December, actually, I've got to do, I think, 30 hours of continuing education. Most people don't know that. We as real estate...
You have a lot more hours left, right? To finish.
I have 30 hours.
You better you better get to work.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to get Yonna to send me to the Caribbean.
I don't think that's happening.
She said, no way.
No.
I tried.
No way.
I would be able to do it much easier there.
This guy is Keith Smith. He's A-plus people of Yes Realty Partners. Keith Smith of Yes Realty Partners. Yes Realty Partners, guys, trusted advisors in this real estate game and the folks you can count on for buying and selling your property. YesRealtyPartners.com. My friend, good work today.
Yeah, and thank you to you, and thank you to Judah. I made Judah put a camera and a microphone there, but
Can we go to the Judah cam real quick,
We
Judah?
we didn't.
Say something poignant and deep for everybody. No, you just have to show your mug over there.
I'm waiting.
All right.
Something deep.
I've got nothing to say,
got
but
nothing.
this was a great show. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you on Friday.
There you go.
Or maybe yes, maybe no yes.
Maybe no yes. Maybe yes, maybe no yes. He's our director. He's fantastic people, J-Dubs.
Couldn't do it without you, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sincerely mean that, Judah. Thank you for joining us, guys. The I Love CVille show is up in 45 minutes where we're going to talk all things are fair game on the I Love CVille show. Stocks continue to sell off, guys, as new Powell taper comments are coming in. We'll bring this up with Alex Erpy, the CEO of Emergent Financial Services, and discuss how this new variant is impacting all things America and across the globe. Thank you for joining us on Real Talk. We love you guys very much, and we'll see you very soon. Take care. Good show.
Great show. I actually had a